Good morning, Thailand. My name is Alex, and I have some news updates from around the land of smiles for you today, this Tuesday, August 27th. Today, we will be talking about an Aussie iPhone smuggler, the future of casinos in Thailand, what instant noodles are doing to your body, and a little later, a sinking Malaysian military vessel. But first things first, we're going to talk about our main story. An ex-police chief is among suspects to be arraigned in the Red Bull Air hit-and-run case. Public prosecutors in Bangkok are set to arraign 8 suspects, including former National Police Chief Police General Somyat, on Thursday, in connection with a 2012 hit-and-run case involving Red Bull Air Vorayuth Yuvidia. The National Anti-Corruption Commission suspects the case was mishandled, including altering the Ferrari speed and dismissing charges. Vorayuth, who fled after his car killed a police officer, still faces a reckless driving car, which carries up to 10 years in jail and expires in 2027. So, my man seems to be running out the clock. I don't know, 2027 is not as far away as it once was. It seems to be around the corner. And the victim was a police officer, which shows that, usually police do a good job of protecting themselves. But in this case, it seems like money's talking. And other people are going to be taking the fall for this crime. And all he has to do is wait till 2027 for the statute of limitations to click in. Pretty disgusting story. Seeing some people be above the law is always depressing and very disheartening, but it's not something that's that uncommon here in Thailand. Just the other day in politics too, we see all sorts of people evading justice for one reason or another that seems to be, disheartening, especially for the Thai people who, usually we see people not above the law all the time, going to jail for all sorts of crazy reasons. But here in this case, money is talking and walking. What do you guys think? What do you make of this story? It's been ongoing for almost a decade now, and the saga still continues. But I don't know. I don't like it, personally. All right, moving on to our next story. Our next story, we've been talking about this a little bit lately, but an Mpox vaccine is only recommended for high-risk groups in Thailand. Now, Yung Puvarawan, head of the Center of Excellence in Clinical Virology at Chulalongkorn University, is advising against the general public receiving the Mpox vaccine, recommending it only for high-risk groups such as men who have sex with strangers and travelers to areas with high Mpox prevalence. Despite the third-generation vaccine being safer than earlier versions, it is costly, and its long-term side effects are still unknown. Over 400 Mpox cases have been reported in Thailand, and the first Clade 1B patient is under close surveillance, along with 43 contacts. Scary stuff. So, Mpox is rearing its ugly head over here in Thailand. It's been huge, very viral in Africa, but it does appear to be affecting the LGBT community more than other segments of the population. So if you are in that community, please do take precautions. This vaccine is available and helpful if you are in one of those high-risk groups. The rest of you, typically if you're married, monogamous, something like that, a lot less to worry about. But it is definitely the STI with all the rage right now, and it's absolutely disgusting. If you've seen anybody infected with it, there's no, it pops up all over you. So there's no hiding that one. And if you enjoy engaging in those, let's say illicit activities, not illicit, promiscuous activities, definitely something you want to consider getting your hands on for not just the safety of yourself, but those that you might be getting in contact as well. Be careful. All right, let's move on to our next story. Sorry, we got an Aussie behaving badly. An Australian has been caught smuggling iPhones into Thailand and arrested again after fleeing the first time. An Australian national, Mr. Bradshaw, was arrested at Suvarnabhumi Airport after customs discovered over 20 Apple iPhones in his luggage, which he intended to sell here for profit. While the court case was still in court, Bradshaw fled Thailand and later reappeared in Bangkok with a new Canadian nationality. On August 24th, 2024, Thai immigration police, acting on a tip-off, arrested him at a luxury hotel in Ceylon. He was identified, informed of his rights, and handed over to authorities for further legal action. Weird case all around this one, okay? So first of all, he was, smuggling iPhones into Thailand. That's weird, right? Like, you would think that it's like from Australia, they are more expensive to buy in Australia than they are in Thailand. So who knows how he got his hands on them where he's thinking he can actually make a profit on these. I would imagine stolen is a likely explanation for it. But also, he came back with a different nationality. Now he was Canadian rather than Australian. This plot thickens. But he is finally remanded into custody, so hopefully the police can get to the bottom of this and figure out what the hell his story actually is. 39-year-old man with multiple citizenships and trying to make a profit in a way that normally you could not possibly make a profit. I'm curious to know more. What do you guys think could be the possible explanation for his motivations and also his methods? Seems like some strange underground stuff to me. All right, moving on to our next story. Thailand is planning casino complexes with locals expected to be the majority patrons. I don't know about this. Thailand is moving forward with plans for an entertainment complex that includes a casino, with 90% of its patrons expected to be local residents. Led by caretaker Deputy Finance Minister Jalapun, the initiative draws parallels with Macau, where a significant portion of the population engages in gambling. The project anticipates 37 million potential Thai visitors. The draft law, now under public hearing, gives the Prime Minister and a special committee substantial control over the complex's operations. Licenses for the casino will require companies to have at least 10 billion baht in capital, with a 30-year term and significant fees. No, this is a weird one because, Thai people are already kind of flooding in debt. Household debt in Thailand is significant. And adding gambling as an attraction for them is not going to help that situation. It's going to exacerbate it. Now, in other countries, I've been to Egypt. Egypt is a country that has gambling, but only allows it for foreign visitors. That's an interesting model. However, I have to tell you, those casinos are pretty ghostly. Ghost town in their presentation. Not a lot of people going in and enjoying the gambling. But at the same time, it's definitely going to put more Thai people at risk. I don't know how you guys feel about this. I'm pretty libertarian when it comes to sins that, I think cannabis should be fine. I don't mind people smoking cigarettes, drinking alcohol, or gambling if they know how to do it responsibly. At the same time, there are big risks. Gambling is something that can absolutely ruin lives. So I would like to make sure that there are at least infrastructures in place to help people get away from gambling if they fall too deep into a hole, if it starts to ruin their lives. This is a big risk, man. Las Vegas is almost like a homeless mecca in America because people end up there ruining themselves and spending their entire life savings, mortgaging their houses over in order to just, put it all on red. So, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about this particular issue because it's coming. The casinos are coming. There's too much money to be made. And, of course, powers that be in Thailand love making that money. We'll see. Next story, guys. The Royal Thai Air Force is mobilizing flood relief efforts in northern Thailand. That's right, the Royal Thai Air Force, or RTAF, has mobilized to aid northern Thailand in flood relief efforts, deploying aircraft for aerial reconnaissance and data collection. RTAF Chief Marshal Mpox announced the use of helicopters and drones to survey flood-hit regions, gathering crucial data to support water drainage and relief planning. The RTAF is also delivering essential supplies, including survival kits and disaster relief boats, to areas cut off by high water levels. This comprehensive approach aims to provide timely and effective aid while preparing for potential future impacts. Well, I feel like this is the kind of stuff that where preparation is better than treatment, right? And now seeing them it's good, Jason, we're good. Seeing them, respond is good, but also at the same time, you would have liked to seen this stuff in place in anticipation of what we already know happens every single year. There is flood relief. There's floods every year. Flood relief is needed every year. These things should already be in place. Now, good on them for making the move and getting up there quickly, but we've already had significant loss of life and property damage up in the northern regions. So hopefully they are able to better collect data and understand how this stuff is going to affect people before it happens, before it actually does. So, kind of good news, but also let's keep the feet to the fire for these authorities to make sure that they are able to help people before they need it rather than as a reaction to when they are in need. All right, a fun story to end on here. Next, go up a little bit, Jason, before you start. Cool. All right, let's get to it. So I've got some noodle news. The Thai FDA has advised choosing healthier instant noodle options. So the Thai FDA has issued guidelines to help consumers make healthier choices when consuming instant noodles. I know I love them. Aiming to reduce the risk of chronic non-communicable diseases, or NCDs. The FDA advises selecting products with the healthier choice symbol, which indicates lower sodium content, and recommends adding meat, eggs, and vegetables to ensure a balanced diet. This initiative is part of a broader effort to combat the rising prevalence of NCDs in Thailand, emphasizing the importance of mindful consumption and in food choice to maintain a healthy lifestyle. Noodles deluxe, I always call them. You got to cook up some vegetables, cook up some eggs, get some Spam in there. I'm not sure that's healthier. Go up a little bit, Jason. Keep going. There you go. We're good. But yes, the noodles, man, this is a big problem. #1 cause of heart disease in Japan, I believe. People just eating the noodles all the time. It's a good, cheap option, but is it healthy? Absolutely not. As an American, we always think of, all right, we eat fast food, we eat McDonald's. We kind of know that that's not healthy. But the instant noodles, especially as a college student, that was a big staple in my diet. And God only knows what my cholesterol levels are at right now. But everybody has their favorite brand. Everybody definitely consumes here in Thailand, but it's important to understand that that is unhealthy too. It's a lovely cheap option, but it's going to have a big problem on your overall heart health and, other aspects of your health as well. So make sure the healthier choice options, lower sodium, and including other aspects of a meal too, eggs, protein, vegetables, that's going to do it for you. So let us know in the comments. Let me know, how do you take your instant noodles and what's your favorite brand? Because there's a whole lot of them. We're actually going to be doing some advertisements for some J-Fi noodles coming up, and I'll make sure that we do it in a healthier way. All right, that's going to do it for our Thailand section of the news. We're going to move on to our greater ASEAN region stuff now, which we have a lot of interesting military news coming up. Our first story is heading to Myanmar, where China's military conducts patrols and live fire exercises near the Myanmar border. Crack, crack. China's military has announced armed patrols and live fire exercises near the border with Myanmar as fighting between Myanmar's ruling junta and rebel forces intensifies. The patrols, focusing on areas like Ruili and Jangkang, aim to maintain security and stability amid concerns over the conflict spilling into China, with artillery shells already causing damage on the Chinese side. The exercises, scheduled from August 27th to 29th, will test the troops' response capabilities. China is committed to restoring peace in Myanmar, as emphasized by Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi. This is the problem with Myanmar's, the problem with Myanmar's conflict is that it is spilling over in the borders. Here in Thailand, we're seeing drugs, a lot of yaba, methamphetamines, spill into Thailand as a way for the rebels to sort of fund their operations. At the same time, the military junta is accused of all sorts of heinous crimes as well. And now the border across China, apparently some of the violence is spilling over there, causing damage too. So big issue for China, big issue for Thailand, big issue for the world, if you ask me. And the Burmese conflict is not getting enough attention. So no end in sight. We'll have to wait and see how this plays out between the rebels and the junta. Who's going to acquiesce first? Who's going to cede for peace first? And I imagine having more pressure from big political players like China and other regional players like Thailand will have an effect on things and hopefully draw this conflict to a close sooner rather than later. All right, moving on to our next story. We are heading over to where, Jason? We're good. You're good. Yeah. We're heading over to the Philippines, where Jason is from. Protests are erupting in the Philippines over police attempt to arrest Duterte's pastor. Protests erupting in Davao, Philippines, as police attempted to arrest televangelist Apollo Quiboli, a close ally of former President Rodrigo Duterte, deepening tensions between the Duterte and Marcos camps. 6 policemen were injured during clashes with hundreds of protesters at a religious compound where Quiboli was believed to be hiding. Now, he is accused of abuse and human trafficking, and he remains at large, with the incident has intensified the feud between the two powerful political families ahead of midterm elections. Quiboli is also wanted by the FBI for alleged labor and sex trafficking. All right, we're good. Sorry, I think I pronounced his name 3 different ways that time. I'm not entirely sure how it is, but close ties to Duterte, and that's going to have some political ramifications considering Duterte is not in power right now, but he still maintains a huge amount of influence in Philippines politics, especially with his daughter now, I think, vying for the highest office. Ferdinand Marcos Jr. on the other side of things. So you can argue this is playing out similar to how American politics goes, with Duterte commanding a major cult of personality in Thailand and doing all sorts of crazy stuff while he was in power, including the extrajudicial killing of many accused drug traffickers that were, murdered before they even had their fair trial. So we'll see how this goes. Is this crackdown on corruption politically motivated, or is it just somebody facing the actual consequences of the crimes they've been engaging in? As said before, Quiboloy was wanted by also the FBI, America, for his connections to labor and sex trafficking. So it's not just the Philippines going after them. It's also America as well, who wants him for certain crimes committed on American soil. That's the FBI, not the CIA. So, I don't know. Crazy story. But at the same time, so much support for Duterte that his protesters are coming out and fighting back against police, trying to arrest his very close ally. All right, now we are on to the next story, where a Malaysian naval ship sunk after striking an underwater object. A 45-year-old Malaysian naval attack ship, the KD Pendekar, sank after striking an unknown underwater object off the coast of Johor State. The ship's engine room began flooding, and despite crew efforts, the 260-ton vessel eventually submerged. All 39 crew members were safely evacuated with no injuries. An investigation has been launched, and Defense Minister Mohammed Khalid Nordin ordered inspections of naval vessels over 40 years old, acknowledging the aging fleet while emphasizing ongoing modernization efforts. Salvage operations for the KD Pendekar are underway. 45 years old, that's pretty old. It's you got it, Jason. All right, finger in the thing. Go up, 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 up. There we go. Okay, cool, we're good. Now, 45 years old, these things need to be decommissioned at some point, and striking something underwater, you would think that they've been floating about for long enough to be able to get away from whatever it is, or to sense whatever it is underground. I imagine it's just a shoal or some coral or something that they cracked into. But at the same time, a military vessel should be able to run into that and withstand that kind of punishment for a military-grade hull. This isn't a fishing boat, right? This is supposed to be protecting the waters of Malaysia. So, yes, modernization efforts are underway. That costs a lot of money, though, especially for a developing nation like Malaysia, to be able to afford those upgrades. We'll see. Good thing that they're acknowledging it. Now undergoing new inspections for all ships that are over 40 years old. But quick question for all of you. How old is too old for military vessels to be still commissioned and running missions? Strange one for me. The Snipe says, "You sunk my only battleship." I think they got a couple more, but that's pretty funny joke. Nick Kim says, "Now a new diving site." Hey, looking on the bright side. Silver linings. Actually, I used to live in Key Largo, down in the Florida Keys, and when I was there, they had sunk some old decommissioned Navy vessel, and it became a thriving coral diving site. So, hey, there's the bright side of things. Now Malaysia has a new tourist attraction. Congratulations. Salvage efforts are underway, but again, how much are you going to be able to salvage from such an old ship, especially now that it is completely submerged? That'll not only cause major costs in the salvage effort, but come on. Now it's a great, beautiful coral reef, as Nick Kim describes. Beautiful. Okay, let's see. Is this my last story? Jason, your suffering is almost over. Yes. All right, we're on to our last story, guys. Where we're heading over to Vietnam. Good to go, man. Vietnam is announcing a government reshuffle with plans to elect a new president in October. Vietnam's parliament approved a major government reshuffle on Monday, preparing to elect a new president in October, marking the third change in less than 2 years. This follows the appointment of State President To Lam as the Communist Party chief, Vietnam's most powerful position. The reshuffle included the appointment of 3 new deputy prime ministers and new justice and environment ministers, amidst a broader political shakeup driven by an ongoing anti-corruption campaign. The recent changes are part of a larger trend of top officials stepping down due to accusations of wrongdoing, quote unquote, over the past 2 years. So, yeah, pretty crazy political maneuvering going on in Vietnam. You had the former Communist Party chief step down from power because of, well, his age. He was so old, leading to President To Lam. We're good, Jason. No need to touch. No touching. We're good. Anyways, To Lam has ascended to the highest position because he was president and the old chairman of the Communist Party stepped down, now occupying both of those offices, making him by far the most powerful person in Vietnam. He will be acquiescing the presidential position in order to give it up to somebody else. They will be having elections, but again, Vietnamese elections, very similar to Chinese ones, where you have a lot of just opaque Communist Party only voting, where there's a lot of wheeling and dealing behind closed doors. Unclear exactly who will come out on top in that power struggle, but one thing is for certain, To Lam will still be heading the most powerful position as the Communist chair leader. What this means for greater Vietnamese politics, especially as they have crackdowns, right? Vietnam has an incredibly famously corrupt system all the way down to the street sweepers, man. Like, everybody's taken their cut at some point or another. So certainly something has to be done. But the question is, are things being done for the sake of actually cleaning up Vietnamese politics? Or is this just more power plays and trying to, consolidate their own power in certain camps? I don't know. But the point is, 3 presidents in 2 years is not stable. And we'll have to see how this actually plays out in the long run. Keep your eye out for those Vietnamese elections in October. No means no, Jason, says the Snipes. That's thank you for that. All right, guys. Yeah, Nick Kim asks, street sweepers. No, I have many friends. This is an extreme. I'm being hyperbolic. But no, people complain about corruption in Southeast Asia all the time. But from my travels and my collection of anecdotes, I have heard that Vietnam is one of the worst. I've lived in China, seen it there. I've lived in Thailand, seen it here. But I've been to China or Vietnam several times. I've seen it there, and I've only been there limited amounts of times and heard all sorts of horror stories. So that's anecdotal, but here you can see from the news that it's something that still plagues them at the highest levels of their politics. I'm sure it's a problem on their, city-level officials and regulatory bodies as well. So hopefully they can clean things up and make it a better, safer place for people to do business, because it is on the up and up, man. Vietnam is a major powerhouse in terms of developing economies. You want to see it develop in the right way, not in a corrupt way. It's tough. All right, guys, that'll do it. Let me close out the news, then I'll get into the comments at the end as we finish our live section. That's it for the news, everybody. You can always go to thetiger.com to get more updates throughout the day. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Subscribe, like, and subscribe if you guys haven't done that already. On Instagram and TikTok, you will see more content that you don't usually see on YouTube. You'll see our funny videos. We make all sorts of funny shorts and stuff that we like to do there, and advertise different businesses around Bangkok that you might be interested in going to check out. Also, sign up, join the conversation at ASEANnow.com. It is Thailand's largest expat forum. Oh, excuse me. And we are broadening our scope to include more news stories from the greater ASEAN region. So please do check that out, especially if you are tuning in from Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, Vietnam. We want to cover more of that broader scope. Finally, we have some big comedy shows this week. That's my plug. Go to Leaf Laugh Love Comedy. I'm going to type that in. If you are in Bangkok, Leaf Laugh Love Comedy. That's my own personal plug right there. We have a big show coming up with Charles the French, our headliner. He's got over 1 million on YouTube. He's a very funny man. I'm very excited to see him do his thing on a very big stage. So he does magic, music, everything. He's a fantastic act. And what's my last thing? Oh, yeah. For all of you guys who join me live, we'll be doing, right after this show tomorrow, we'll be doing our Worldwide Wednesdays. So I'll be picking out news stories from around the world that I find interesting and want to bring your attention to. So we'll do a double feature GMT into Worldwide Wednesdays tomorrow. And I promise we will have our teleprompter fixed so you won't see my crew fingering the old iPad the whole time.